Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Verlicity AI podcast. I'm Christian Worthington.
And I'm Sandra Giffen.
Sandra, today we are going to be talking about the builders, the creators, the risk takers in our society, and the opportunities we're seeing for success.
That's right. We are dedicating this entire episode to the entrepreneurs. Because right now, if you are building in the AI space, you are likely feeling two things simultaneously: absolute exhilaration and total terror.
Terrifying is the right word. We've been living this ourselves. Over the last 7 months, in the course of vibe coding our own new application, which we will be announcing in an upcoming episode, we have witnessed not one, but two massive tectonic shifts in the underlying vibe coding technology.
It's been dizzying. First, it was Replit's Agent 3. That release didn't just add a feature. It allowed us to massively expand the scope of the app, and it enabled us to be much more aggressive with our development. We covered that seismic event in episode 18 entitled The Wednesday AI Changed Everything, our Replit experience and what it means to use.
And then, just as we were getting our feet under us, Gemini 3 dropped a couple of weeks ago, and we've been digesting the implications. It changes everything.
At this point, I'm sure everyone's heard about Gemini 3 and how Google has slingshotted ahead of OpenAI's ChatGPT and the others in the AI race. That's not news. But I don't think most people have a clear sense of just how big a deal Gemini 3 is to entrepreneurs and app developers.
Yeah, the media understandably gets hung up on so-called benchmark tests. They compare one model to another, and they tell a story about the AI race. But Gemini 3 is more than just a small improvement.
It's difficult these days to know what's just another Wednesday and what's really transformative. Without getting too deep in the weeds of software architecture, why don't you give us a taste of what happened?
Sure, a little background might help. The app we've been developing uses an AI orchestration workflow. That's a complicated way of saying that the app takes a request from a user and applies a series of AI queries to help the user achieve an outcome.
So as I imagine a job that's more complicated than a simple chatbot query, you're describing several steps, each step requiring an AI interaction, and the whole thing being orchestrated by the app, so the user can just sit back and get a result.
Exactly. Now here's the kicker. When an AI is trained, the model is built using all the publicly available information on the internet as input, plus a lot of information Google has at its disposal. It's worth noting that Google has access to all of the world's YouTube videos and a lot of other data sets that other companies cannot access. Google truly has a massive stack of data sources that are unique, but Google doesn't know the details about your personal life or your internal business documents.
You're talking about grounding knowledge, which we covered in episode 21. Your AI vulnerability, the psychological trap of talking to AI.
Yes, Sandra. That was 1,000,000 years ago, at the end of October, and this is early December. The world has changed in that time.
What a difference a month makes in this crazy race for AI supremacy. A month feels like a decade. For those who missed that episode, give us a very quick sense of what life was like all the way back in October and what it's like today.
Sure. Back in the old days, October. If you wanted to develop an AI application that had ready access to proprietary data, you needed to load up your data into a special type of database. These special databases are designed to be more compatible with the AI. They had fancy names like vector databases and knowledge graphs. Basically, companies Pinecone and Weaviate provided services where you could load up all your company's data onto a special database that pre-digested your information in a way the AI could access it really quickly.
So you're saying that companies needed to go through an elaborate process to make their data available to the AI?
Yes. And this process was costly, costing thousands of dollars a month. And it took a lot of skill to create a database that was suitable to the types of questions the AI was going to answer in the future. These special databases required skilled technicians to make a lot of decisions that had downstream implications to the way your application would work. If the technicians made a mistake, the application could hallucinate.
So the stakes were high.
And it wasn't uncommon for these systems to constantly need changes and refinements as hallucinations were detected.
But in November, Google changed everything.
Yes, Google basically erased the need to do any of this complex preparation of your data. Google gave anyone the ability to use Gemini to ask questions of a Google Drive or Google Workspace without having to pre-digest their data. You see, Google has a huge advantage because they have Gmail, they have Google Drive, and a whole stack of services that people and companies already use. So they designed a new file search tool, or what many are calling Gemini search, basically can access all of your data without you having to lift a finger.
So a developer doesn't need to spend months building a customized database for the client.
Yes, and the data can stay where the client already uses the data, on their cloud storage, in their Gmail inbox. Life just goes on, and the developer can access all of this information with a handful of commands. I can't emphasize how big this is. In some ways, this is bigger than the internet. It means that AI can have access to the very essence of your life or your business without you having to lift a finger.
Just to be clear, this only happens if you give it permission.
Oh yes, that's right. And none of your information is transferred to Gemini. So it doesn't pass this information onto unauthorized users. Gemini doesn't use this information to train its model.
So let's get back to the implications for us as entrepreneurs. Chris, let's be honest and transparent about what it feels like on a Tuesday morning when you realize the work you did for the last several months is now obsolete.
It hurts. In my entire career, I've never witnessed such massive changes in core technology in such a small span of time. It's easy to reach for analogies like tsunamis, but this feels more like a tsunami, a typhoon, and a meteor strike all rolled into one. As we're buffeted by these forces, we are seeing months of work destroyed in the blink of an eye. And this isn't a one-and-done situation. Now that it's happened twice in a 7-month-long project, it's reasonable to expect this will happen again and again. It's gutting.
And that leads to the question we see on Twitter, on Reddit, everywhere. Was I wrong to start? Is there a place for developers and entrepreneurs in a world where the ground moves this fast? It's easy to want to throw your hands in the air and quit in despair.
I'd be lying if I said those thoughts didn't go through my mind, but that is the wrong reaction. Because as any true entrepreneur knows, the pain we're feeling is opportunity in disguise. In this episode, we want to reframe this pain point as an entrepreneurial bonanza. We want to talk about the gap that's being created that entrepreneurs can fill.
Let's define this gap, this opportunity. Because I think people overestimate how fast the world moves when technology changes. We see the news, we see the breakthroughs, and we assume society is changing at the same speed. But it's not.
Exactly. People and companies are incredibly slow to adapt to technology. Just because something is possible doesn't mean people will do it.
We have to remember that humans hate change, and organizations, they hate change times 100. There is a massive personal cost to rewiring your brain or abandoning entrenched habits. I mean, look around. There are entire industries still using fax machines.
That is a wild thought, but it's true. The half-life of old technologies is far greater than we like to acknowledge. So you have AI taking off like a supersonic jet. It's moving at Mach 10. But the user community, they are largely still standing on the runway, watching it disappear into the clouds.
And that distance between the jet and the people on the ground, that is the gap. And that gap is the opportunity for every entrepreneur on the planet.
It reminds me of Steve Jobs. He didn't invent the computer components, but he realized that people were the rate-determining factor, not the technology. He made his money by using massive amounts of resources to dumb down computers so regular people could actually use them.
And that is exactly what we need now. AI and eventually AGI will be able to do incredible things, but people won't get the full value from AI because they lack the imagination, or the adaptation skills, or the organizational buy-in. The faster AI improves, the bigger that gap becomes.
So if you are listening to this and you want to build a business, your job isn't just to write code, your job is to bridge that gap. People, especially those who entered the workforce before AI, need visionaries to show them what this technology can actually do for them.
But there is a barrier to this, Chris. And it's a big one. It's the network effect.
Right. Humans and businesses organize into networks and systems, and these systems are not designed for chaos. They are designed to lock down second and third order fallout. They have rules and restrictions that keep markets stable.
Exactly. So when you try to introduce an AI agent into a legacy corporate network, the immune system of that network attacks it. These systems won't easily allow AI agents in. We're already seeing this in the retail sector. Retailers are hardening their systems to prevent what they perceive as bots. They see automated systems making purchases as a threat, not an opportunity.
Companies like Ticketmaster spend a lot of money repelling bots. But one can only imagine the dilemma Ticketmaster will face when they find themselves having to distinguish between a bot trying to scoop up all the Taylor Swift tickets and an AI agent genuinely buying a couple of tickets for a legitimate Swiftie. This type of crisis is going to impact every commercial network on the planet.
And this phenomena will grow exponentially as AI agents force established networks to confront the reality of a rapidly changing landscape in which humans are the only players.
Which means entrepreneurs who introduce AI solutions into these networks are disruptors in the truest sense. They will be disrupting the way things have worked for a couple of decades. That takes courage. It takes vision. And yes, there will be risk. But because the friction is so high, the reward for solving these problems is virtually limitless.
Now, I want to pivot to the how. Because there is a specific myth circulating in the tech world right now that is driving me absolutely crazy. And I know it makes you angry too, Chris.
What I like to call the one-shot myth.
Yes, we keep hearing smart people, people who should know better, bragging about one-shot vibe coding. They post a video saying, "Look, I built this whole system with a single prompt."
It's a harmful and frankly counterproductive idea.
Tell us why?
First off, it sets a completely unrealistic expectation for anyone embarking on a vibe coding project. It makes people think you can build a market-ready enterprise system with one sentence. That is a fantasy. Anything marginally approaching an enterprise system will take dozens, if not many hundreds, of prompts and tweaks.
It's the difference between a demo and a product.
Exactly. Real development involves iteration. It involves testing. You aren't just testing for bugs. You are testing your assumptions about usability, about compliance, about the feature set. Anyone who thinks a one-shot session achieves anything robust is simply out of touch with the reality of enterprise systems.
And I think there's a deeper philosophical problem with it, too. The idea that a single prompt could describe the complex needs of a business implies that the idea is simple. But creating something people rely on is an evolutionary process.
That's right. No AI is capable of reading the mind of a market. You might get a plausible prototype in one shot, but that's all you'll achieve.
This is where the human entrepreneur comes back into the picture. You are the mastermind. You are the one who has to relate the problem to the AI in a way that fully captures what the market wants. It's your taste and judgment that's the essential ingredient that will determine whether your new business is going to overcome the reticence people have towards change and the obstacle of the network effect.
Vibe coding is a tool, not a panacea, and that distinction is vital.
So let's expand on this idea of the mastermind. Because it sounds great on a business card, but what does it actually look like in reality? If you aren't writing the code line by line, but you aren't doing one-shot magic either, what are you doing?
You are engaging in what we call prototyping and protocycling. It's a rigorous conversational loop. For example, let's pretend you are building a dental office app.
Okay, so I want to build a feature where a patient can book an appointment.
Right. In the one-shot fantasy, you type, "Build me an appointment booking system," and you go to lunch.
That sounds great. You get to kick back and have lunch, and all your work gets done. Who could argue with that plan?
Yeah, but as you can imagine, that's naive. That's just prompt one. The AI will give you a calendar. It will look great. It will probably function, but it will follow the path that makes a hypothetical average person happy in a scenario where everything goes right. This is where you come in. You look at it and realize, wait, this allows a patient to book an appointment at 3 a.m. The AI doesn't know the dentist sleeps. Or you'll notice that it doesn't reflect your cancellation policy and allows the patient to cancel 5 minutes before the appointment. Or maybe it doesn't even check to see if the person has an outstanding bill. The list goes on and on.
So prompt 2 is applying constraints.
Exactly. Only you'll quickly discover it's dozens or hundreds of prompts. You tell the AI, restrict bookings to business hours. Now it works better. But then you, the human with the domain experience, realize, wait, what if the dentist is sick or on vacation? The AI didn't build an admin panel to block out days because you didn't ask for one.
So prompt 3 is building the management layer.
And prompt 4 is handling the edge cases. What happens if two people book the same slot at the exact same millisecond? The AI might not handle that concurrency issue by default. You have to possess the vision to say, hey, we need to lock this record while it's being booked.
I see. The AI is the engine. It provides the horsepower, but it doesn't have a strategic understanding of the business.
Precisely. You are the steering wheel. You are the one saying, turn left here because there is a cliff. The work isn't typing syntax. The work is anticipating reality. You are testing your assumptions against the real world, detecting where the AI's logic is too simple and forcing it to handle the complexity of real human life.
So the mastermind isn't just an idea guy. The mastermind is the person who understands the problem so deeply that they can guide the AI through the hundreds of micro-decisions needed to solve it.
That is the job description. And frankly, it's a much more interesting job than hunting for missing semicolons. And it goes much deeper if you're not just developing an app for one dentist's office, but you're developing an app for any dentist who might want to sign up for the service.
However, even though one-shot is a myth, vibe coding itself is not. In fact, we're arguing that vibe coding is the only way forward.
We are hearing some skepticism. People say vibe coding cannot be trusted for enterprise software. We disagree completely.
If you are a startup, agility is your oxygen. Time is your enemy.
Vibe coding is the only way for a startup to stand a chance in this landscape. When you have a tight budget, vibe coding is your only hope. It's your only way to move fast enough to beat the clock.
Let's go back to our own project. The system we are releasing in a few weeks. If we had tried to build this the old way with conventional software tools,
it would have taken 100 times more money and 10 times longer. And frankly, without vibe coding, considering we had to reinvent the project twice in 7 months, we would have failed. We would have run out of runway.
The key to success right now is to innovate faster, implement faster, and fail faster. Vibe coding enables that loop. It allows solopreneurs and small teams to take risks that used to require a team of 50.
So, where do you look? If you're that entrepreneur listening to this, where is the gold?
Well, we know where the big companies are. AI is being embedded in big products. AI will drive your car. AI will help Amazon target you with ads. Those capabilities will find you, even if you don't look for them. Big companies are implementing AI in record time. In many ways, the evolution of the market for AI is upside down from the way the internet developed. The internet was a bottom-up revolution, with small companies often being the early adopters. AI has been embraced by large corporations, and it's the entrepreneurs who are the second movers in many cases.
But the opportunity for the independent entrepreneur isn't in competing with Amazon or Google.
That's right.
The big opportunity, the gap we've been discussing, is in that space between individuals and companies.
It's the missing middle. You need to look for market segments that are missing out because they don't have the integration. The dental office that uses 3 different software systems that don't talk to each other. The logistics company that's still using spreadsheets.
And here is the final piece of advice on the economics of this. The risk equation has changed because the barrier to entry is lower today because anyone can vibe code. You have a new threat.
Competitors can pop up overnight.
Right? So if you find a niche and you develop a solution, you need to price it aggressively. You need to make it so cheap and so effective that you disincentivize competitors from building their own. You need to capture the market fast and make it undesirable for anyone to vibe code a copycat.
We've covered a lot of ground. From the terror of technology changing under your feet to the massive opportunity of the gap.
The takeaway is this: don't let the chaos scare you off. The supersonic jet is taking off. Don't look at the jet. Look at the people left behind. That's your customer. Your job isn't to build the jet. Your job is to get the people on the runway on board.
Be the visionary. Be the mastermind. And don't be afraid to vibe code your way through the turbulence.
And don't forget to find us on all the popular podcast apps and on YouTube.
If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend and remember to click like on YouTube.
Until next time, I'm Christian Worthington.
And I'm Sandra Giffen. Stay curious, stay agile, and join us for the next Felicity AI episode, where we always try to stay one step ahead.